Hi, and congratulations on your 2023 Nissan Rogue SV. This is a really amazing vehicle, great gas mileage with that new turbo motor that's in it. Really fun to drive, very comfortable, and a lot of features. But you already know that because you bought the vehicle or you're looking at buying it. Let's go back through and show you everything that you get with this vehicle to make sure that you're very comfortable with it and you get to use it to the fullest extent. At the end, if you still have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can call, text, email, or stop into O'Regan's Nissan on Baker Drive in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that you're enjoying your vehicle as much as possible. Let's go through this and see what we can do. We're going to start right here at the 8-inch full-color touchscreen display, which does come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's videos available from Nissan on how to operate each one. Very, very simple. The biggest thing that you're going to want to do right away, though, is you're going to want to hook up your phone. So you're going to go to Settings, Connections. You're going to want to come in here first because, one, you want to make sure it's on, but two, you are able to allow two phones to be simultaneously hooked up to this. I'm going to enable that and I'm going to come back out. Then you hit Add New. When you do, it's going to look like this. On your phone, you're going to go into your settings and then Bluetooth settings. From there, you're going to look for My Rogue. Once you tap on it, there will be a screen that pops up here with a number on it. The same number will appear on your phone screen. Hit Pair. If you have an Apple phone, you're going to then press Allow once. If you have an Android phone, you're most likely going to have to press Allow twice. Also, if you have an Android phone and you have a lock screen, you're then going to want to back right out to the main settings, go down to Lock Screen, go into Smart Lock, and then you're going to go into Trusted Devices. You're going to add a trusted device and you're going to add My Rogue. What this is going to do is with some Android phones, when the screen locks, it does disconnect from the vehicle, and this will prevent that from happening. Once you've got that all done, your fastest way back out is just press the audio button and it'll take you right back here. Now, daylight savings time is going to come to an end here very shortly, so I want to be able to adjust my clock. I'm going to go into Settings and then Clock, and then I can just set clock manually. Everything is right here, easy to operate. Just remember, when you change your hour up or down, if you do cross from AM to PM or vice versa, you have to manually switch that up top here as well. And again, once you're done, just press the audio button to jump right back out. When you change the clock here, it will automatically change over here. Over in the driver display setting there is a spot in the settings to change your clock, but it is far easier to do it right here. Now your camera, and I'm going to put us in reverse here for a moment. Your camera not only gives you your backup camera with prediction lines, but you also get this really nice looking 360-degree around view monitor with a bird's eye view. There is no drone above you. I am currently in a gray vehicle, not a white one. This is done using the backup camera down here, a camera underneath the front grille up here, and cameras underneath your side mirrors for the sides here. All of that stitched together will give you that view. Now, while I'm in reverse, if I press the camera button, I do get a view down the passenger side of the vehicle, and if I put this line on a curb next to me that I'm parking next to, that'll put me 6 inches from the curb. I can hit the camera button again and it's just a full view out the back if I wanted a larger view there. And I'm going to put us back to the normal mode. Now when I go into park, this is still going to be on because I can be in park or drive and turn on the camera by pressing this button as long as I am below 10 kilometers an hour. So if I'm pulling into a parking spot, all of a sudden I can see out the front of the vehicle. And again, I still have my predictive lines, which is really good. But if I was pulling up to that vehicle up ahead of me in a parking spot and I wanted to get really close because they're partially into mine, this will allow me to see how close I get. And this is my bumper across the bottom here. So I can get in really tight and not have to worry about it. I get the same views over here. And if I push the button one more time, it will turn the camera off. Now, when you're in park or drive and you turn that camera on, it will turn off when you turn it off, or if you hit 10 kilometers an hour, or when it's been on for 2 minutes. As we move down below, we can see we've got dual climate control here. Now, right now, sync is on, which means everything is synced up to the driver's side. If your passenger would like different temperature than you, they can either turn it down or turn it up to whatever they like. It'll go down as low, which is just below 18, or as high, which is just above 32, Once they get out, all you got to do is press the sync and everything goes back to the driver's side. Now I also have auto turned on, and what I recommend is find a temperature that you're comfortable with, turn on auto, and then you're never going to have to worry about the temperature inside the vehicle. What it's going to do is it will automatically adjust the fan speed and where your airflow is going to go. And what it's going to do then is try and get you up or down to that temperature as quickly as possible. From there, once it starts getting close to that, it will then do just what it needs to maintain that temperature, making sure that you've always got the temperature that you're set for there and keeping it perfect for you. You can manually adjust your fan speed right here, and you can manually adjust where your airflow is going using this button here, or if you want it up on the front, there's a quick button for that. My rear defrost button is also going to activate my heated side mirrors as well. Heated seats are on the outside of my dials here, and on the inside, I do have a heated steering wheel. Down below this, we do have a couple USB ports as well as a 12-volt power port. My two USB ports, I have a traditional Type A USB, and I have the new Type C USB, which is faster charging. These two USB ports do interact with your vehicle for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Anybody who has an Android phone is very familiar with the Type C port. Anybody with a newer Apple phone will also be familiar with this because they'll have the Lightning port on one end and the Type C on the other end. If you're not familiar with this or you don't have a cord with this, don't worry about it, just use your traditional port right there. You could also plug a thumb drive full of music in there and stream from that as well. Now, the one thing I did not mention up here is you do have satellite radio free for the first 3 months. At the end of 3 months, it should just stop. If it does not stop, don't call anybody, don't worry about it. It will eventually just stop. But when it does, if you want it, go to the preview channel, which it's going to revert back to anyway. Your toll-free number is right there. Just give them a call, ask them to get it all set up for you. They'll go through everything with you. They are fantastic to deal with, and they'll get you hooked up pretty quick. Our gear shift is a fair bit different. Every time I move this, it's always going to bounce back to the original position. Now, currently I'm in park, as I can see is lit up here, and it does show me right down here. Now, there's a thumb button on the side. You can use it to move to any direction, but it is absolutely required when you go to reverse. So for reverse, I'm going to squeeze the thumb button and push all the way forward and let go. I can see there the backup camera's on, shows me down here that I'm in reverse, and shows me on here that I'm in reverse. For drive, I'm going to pull all the way down and let go. Like I said, it always bounces back to the original position, shows me here and up here that I'm in drive. For park, I'm simply going to push the P, and again here and up here it shows that I'm in park. Now for neutral, if I'm in park, I can move up or down one click. There is 2 clicks to this movement. If I'm in park, the easiest way to get to neutral without pushing the thumb button is just push forward and hold for a second. That puts me in neutral. I can also come down 1 click and hold for a second to get there. If I'm in drive, I need to go up towards neutral because coming down 1 and holding won't do it. But if I go up 1 and hold, it does. If I'm in reverse, I need to come down towards the neutral. So come down 1 and hold, and that'll do it as well. Right below that is my electronic parking brake. To engage this, I simply need to pull up on it. You see the red light comes on there, and it comes on up there. That means that my parking brake is now on and fully engaged, making it very easy. To disengage that parking brake, what I need to do, if I simply just push down on this, which I will do, it tells me I need to push the brake pedal in. So if I put my foot on the brake and now push in, it disengages that. Now I have just buckled up because I want to show you the auto hold functionality, and I'm going to turn this on. Now right now we don't see anything up here. I'm going to put us in drive, and we see right away I have a little circle up here with an A in the word hold, and it is green. I'm in drive with no foot on the brake. My brake is held on. The brakes are on, and if you check out one of my other videos on the Rogue S, you can actually see a reflection in the window behind me where it shows the brake pedal, or sorry, the brake lights are on. To disengage this, I'm simply going to give it a little bit of gas, and I start moving, and that turns white, and when I put my foot fully on the brake, it turns green again, which means I can once again release the brake. It holds my brake on for me. This is a great feature if you're at a long light or construction or a drive-through that's moving really slow, because you get to relax just that little bit extra. Now, when the auto hold is on and engaged like so, and I put it in park, what this is going to do automatically is engage my parking brake. So that's the neat part about that. Down below that is my drive mode selector. So I can see here I've got this dial. Every time I turn the vehicle on, it's going to default to auto. It shows me up here beside my drive indicator that I'm in auto right now. That's this one here. When I turn it clockwise, it'll move to eco mode or sport mode. Now, eco mode is going to get you better gas mileage. I do recommend it for long highway trips, especially. One thing to be aware of with eco mode, trying to pull away quickly from a dead stop or trying to get out and around somebody in a hurry when you're on the highway is going to feel a little bit sluggish in eco mode. Sport mode is if you're losing your passing lane and you want to get out and around that last car before it's gone. Sport mode will give you a little more torque on the motor to make sure that you have the power that you need. And you've already got a ton of torque on this. There's 201 horsepower and 225 pound-feet of torque on this Rogue. So we're going to come back around. Now, as I'm moving, it does show up here as well, so I don't need to be looking at the dial as I change it. So I can see my snowflake is snow mode. Now, your all-wheel drive system, which is on all of the SVs and higher, it's an intuitive system. So when I'm in normal mode, eco mode, or sport mode, I'm going to be driving in front wheel about 90 to 95% of the time. I don't need to do anything to engage all-wheel drive. As soon as there's any kind of slippage on those front wheels, all-wheel drive will automatically engage. So pulling away from a dead stop in my all-wheel drive, as soon as I get going, it drops down to front wheel. Any slippage on those front wheels, and it will engage all-wheel drive automatically up to 140 kilometers an hour. And as soon as I get past that situation, it drops right back down to front-wheel drive automatically. Snow mode. So let's say in normal mode, I hit a patch of black ice. As soon as I'm past that, it's going to drop back down to front wheel drive. In snow mode, it's going to engage it just as fast, but once I get past it, it's going to hold me in all-wheel drive a little bit longer in anticipation of another bit of black ice just up ahead of me. If it doesn't find any within a few seconds, then it will drop me back down to front wheel drive. So it does hold you in a lot longer, making for a much better winter drive in those conditions. My last mode down here is off-road mode. And we don't expect that you're going to do a bunch of off-roading in your Rogue. However, this mode is fantastic if you go down an old dirt road, or maybe an old dirt road that it just rained and it's heavy mud, or if you're somewhere near a beach where there's a lot of sand and it's really thick. You're going to be almost exclusively in all-wheel drive in off-road mode. I don't recommend it for regular road driving, but in those situations, I absolutely do. It makes for an easier drive where you're not going to risk getting stuck. Our center console is a butterfly style console, so the button right in here in the front will open it up, and you can see it doesn't flip up like a traditional center console. The nice part is, if I have my arm resting here and someone wants to open it, it will open just one side. Also, if somebody in the back needs access, they have full access to it from back there. So that keeps everything really nice and easy. Over here on our steering wheel, we're going to see we've got some controls up here. First thing I want to go over is our cruise control. So the blue button will engage your cruise control. And you can see right there, first thing it does is pop up a screen to show you all your safety features. The next thing that we're going to see is the cruise control screen. And it's going to do this every time that you hit the cruise control. Not a problem. If you want to get back to your regular screen, you just hit the right arrow here twice and it'll put you back on your home screen. But we're going to go back for a moment because your cruise control is adaptive cruise control. By default, the very first time that you go to use it, it's going to be set for 3 car lengths plus safe distance. And if you've never used adaptive cruise, I do recommend trying that once or twice before you do anything. What you're going to find is this is too much of a distance. What you need to do after that is, if you want to reduce it, this button right here reduces it down to 2 or 1 or back up to 3, depending on where your comfort level is. Now, if you don't want adaptive cruise control, you just want normal cruise, I want you to pay attention here. I want you to pay more attention up here, because if I'm on the home screen and I just want normal cruise, I'm going to press and hold my blue button for about 2 or 3 seconds. And immediately up here, this changed. We also noticed an icon over here changed as well. It disappeared. But what this now means is there is no more adaptive cruise. This is normal cruise. So if I go back 2 screens, even though my cruise is on, there is no lines there anymore. If I turn the cruise off, again, simply just press the blue button. Pressing it engages adaptive cruise or intelligent cruise control. Pressing and holding engages your normal cruise control. So that's a really big thing with that there. Also, with this, once you set your cruise, you just tap down. To resume your cruise, if you've had to touch the brake or push the cancel button, you just tap up and it'll resume your speed to whatever you had it previously set for. If your cruise speed is already set, and it will show right up here, you can decrease by tapping down a couple times or increase by tapping up a few times. Again, makes it really easy. Now, the other thing with the adaptive cruise is you also have a feature called Pro Pilot Assist. Now I'm going to hit my button here to make sure that it is on. This is going to temporarily turn it off. It'll say steering assist off. We're going to hit it again to turn it back on, and that's just this button over here. Steering assist is your Pro Pilot Assist system, and again, I do have a separate video for this giving a very detailed explanation and demonstration of how this works. Whether you have the Navi Assist or not, it's going to work the same way. The Navi Assist has a small caveat to it. It's all explained in the video. But Pro Pilot at that point is going to light up your lines on either side here green when it engages, meaning that the camera in the windshield up here is able to read the lines on either side of you, and then it will help steer the vehicle with you. You will feel the wheel moving a little bit in your hand. It is designed to keep you centered in your lane. This system was designed primarily for long drives or late night drives, but can be used anytime that you've got your cruise set. If you don't want Pro Pilot on while you've got your cruise set, simply push this button here. It says steering assist off. Just keep in mind, it is permanently off until you once again push that button. Now, if you bypass the adaptive cruise control and go to normal cruise, Pro Pilot Assist is not available. It will only work when the adaptive cruise is fully set. The next piece down here is for your Bluetooth hands-free. So with this, we have this button here, which is going to answer call or hang up. And then we've got this button here, which is going to be to make my outbound call. Now, nice little caveat to this. If you have an Apple phone and you press and hold this button for 2 seconds, you will get Siri and the voice control system for your phone, and you can use that for just about anything, including sending and receiving text messages 100% hands-free. If you have an up-to-date Android phone that has Hey Google on it, again, press and hold this will access that and give you full voice control access on your phone using the Hey Google system. Super neat, makes it extremely easy to have full access of your phone so that you can tell it to read a text to you. You can send a text all by voice with your hands 100% on the wheel the entire time and your eyes on the road the whole time. Also, if you're hooked up to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, using this with your voice control system on your phone should allow you to set things on your phone hands-free, so you could set a destination on a map. As we move across to the left side of the wheel, I have full control of my volume for right here. So I do have the volume dial here, but I have control over here. My 2 buttons down bottom here are going to go through my presets, which I can see on the screen there, or on the bottom of my home screen over here, making it quick and easy. Also, if you're streaming through Bluetooth or a thumb drive, this will skip tracks for you. Now, the other thing to remember here, your left and right arrows are going to take us through the screens, and the little dial here also presses in for an OK button. On my home screen, I do have a digital speedometer here, but on the bottom I have my radio info, and there is an additional screen that is strictly your radio info. Whether you're on the radio info screen or the home screen, if I press the OK dial, I can change the source of my audio right from the steering wheel. So scroll down on the dial here and then press in, and we see I'm now on satellite radio. And again, I can go through the presets to change to whatever I want, as long as it's already preset. Press that dial and I can change it again. So from my steering wheel while I'm driving using my thumb, I have full control of everything that I need to do with my audio right from here. Again, without having to take my eyes off of this forward position here, keeping them at the road. Really great features. So now I'm going to go to the right of screen, and I have manual reset 1 with my digital speedometer and an average speed, but I've got a little up and down arrow here, so I'm going to scroll down because this is the more important screen right here. This screen is going to give me my average fuel economy, which is running very high because I've only gone 57.8 kilometers in 2.5 hours. Also down here, I have an average speed. So fuel economy, average speed, trip odometer, total time running since this has been reset last. And because this is manual, if I press and hold on my OK button, I get a screen where I can reset each one individually, or I can say all. No matter which one you do, it's going to ask you to confirm. And now everything's been reset here. Now I mentioned the up and down arrow. We're going to go down once more and you see just your fuel economy. So we're going to go back up for a moment. And instead of pressing and holding, I'm just going to press and it takes me to manual reset 2. So I have another screen with all the same info that I'm going to reset here. And then if I press one more time, we get auto refuel. Auto refuel is going to reset itself every single time that you gas up. So right now I got a full tank of gas. If I were to go drive a bit and then go to the gas station, as soon as I gas up again, all of this is going to reset from the moment I gas up. So it's really neat. You can track between fill-ups and you don't need to do anything special for it. Our next screen over to the right is a tire pressure monitoring screen that once you start to drive, it will show you the individual tire pressure for all 4 wheels. Now, no matter what screen you're on, if you ever get a low tire, it will pop up and tell you low tire pressure up here. You'll also get the little warning indicator over here. It'll tell you which tire is low and what your exact pressure is. From there, you're going to want to go to a service station or a gas station, somewhere that's got an air pump. Leave your Rogue running, grab the hose and go to the tire it says needs air and start putting air in. And when you get up to the correct pressure, the horn will beep once to tell you to stop. If for some reason you continue to put air in or went to the wrong tire, there is an upper limit that when it hits it, the horn will beep 3 times in a row. Please stop putting air in your tire at that point. And what we do recommend doing at that point is starting to let some air back out of that tire. Once it gets back down to the proper pressure, again, the horn will beep once to tell you to stop. Now again, we see our little up-down arrows over here, so we're going to scroll down. This screen will allow me to monitor when I'm in front-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive based on what we talked about earlier, especially with the drive mode selector. And if I scroll down once more, this screen is really neat. Because your Rogue has a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder variable compression turbo, this screen will allow you to monitor your turbo. So when you're bombing along, and especially if your cruise is set, you're most likely going to be down in this eco compression zone. And over here, it'll be down in this negative range. That means that you're on the lower end of your turbo and you're going to get phenomenal gas mileage. But when you need that extra power, all you got to do is push the gas pedal. And you're going to see this climb up above the 0. And once you get close to that 15 or even up to the 30, you're going to feel a huge boost in power. And on this side, it will put you right up into the power zone up here. This screen will allow you to monitor what's going on with the turbo on your motor. It's pretty neat. It's really neat to keep an eye on what's happening there and see when your vehicle is doing what. So we're going to go back down one more, put it back where we started and go to the next screen. Again, this is the radio screen. If I press the OK button, I get to change the source of my audio right from there. Next screen over was the adaptive cruise, and again we see 2 arrows. So we've talked about the adaptive cruise. We're going to go back to the other screen, which is for the visuals to go with all of our safety features. And this vehicle is fully equipped with Nissan's Safety Shield 360. So right away, what that means for you is you have 10 airbags, standard. You have automatic emergency braking with forward collision warning and pedestrian detection, and it is intelligent forward collision warning. So the forward collision warning is something you will experience at some point. Everybody does. If I'm driving up the road and the car up ahead of me is turning into a parking lot, there is a radar in behind the Nissan emblem in the front of your vehicle. When that radar gets within range and sees that vehicle is going much slower than you are and you're catching up to it quickly, inside the vehicle it will flash a warning up here and it will beep at you. And what it's letting you know is that unless the circumstances change, there is a risk of a collision. As soon as that car finishes rounding the turn, you keep going like nothing happened, and that's it. It's just like nothing happened. Now, your intelligent forward collision warning says if you're driving on the highway or down the road and the car in front of you is there and the car in front of them hits the brakes, as long as it is within range, that same warning system will still happen inside your vehicle, even though the car directly in front of you didn't hit the brakes yet. So again, it's 2 cars ahead as long as it's within range. Now, the next step in that would be the automatic emergency braking. So if the car in front of you slammed on the brakes inside the vehicle, again, because it realizes you're closing that gap in a hurry between you and the vehicle ahead of you, it'll beep at you, it'll flash the warning here, and if your foot does not get on the brake fast enough, it will start to hit the brakes for you to avoid or minimize an oncoming collision. And as soon as your foot is on that brake, that system turns off because you are in total control of your vehicle. Now, your pedestrian detection is going to work the exact same way, except it's going to happen faster. And the reason being, the car in front of you that hit the brakes still has a little bit of forward momentum. The person who walked out in front of you does not, and we're going to hope to avoid giving them any. So just be mindful of how fast those all work. They are great systems. I hope you never need them. You also have a lane departure warning system. So as long as this camera in the windshield can read the lines on either side of you, if you start to drift out of your lane, it will vibrate your wheel. It's called a haptic steering wheel because it does vibrate. It's almost like hitting the rumble strips on the side of the road. However, if you signal before coming out of your lane, nothing happens because it knows you are intentionally coming out of your lane. The next thing is our blind spot indicators. So I don't know how well you can see there. There is a little triangle out on the corner of my mirror here. There's one on each side there. That is my blind spot indicators. And as long as there is part of a vehicle in your blind spot, whether it's the nose of it, the tail end of it, or the whole thing, as long as part of it's in your blind spot, that triangle will light up and stay lit up a dull orange as long as part of that vehicle is there. If, for example, my passenger side over here is lit up, and while it's lit up, I signal to go right, that's going to start flashing and it will beep at me inside the vehicle here. It's letting me know, have a look over my shoulder, there is something in my blind spot. If for some reason I decided to try and go anyway, your Rogue is going to pull you back. What it's going to do is very mildly engage the left side brakes if you're trying to go right, to help pull the vehicle back into its lane and avoid contact with whatever it is that's over in your blind spot there. Pretty neat system the way it works. You have rear cross traffic alert, which is for when you're backing out of a parking spot. If there's anything coming at you within approximately 2 car lengths from either side, perpendicular to the vehicle, inside the vehicle, it will beep at you. Also, whichever side it's approaching from. So if I have something approaching from this direction, in behind me, my blind spot indicator on that side of my vehicle is also going to be flashing. So it does let me know whatever is approaching me and the side that it's approaching from. Now, the last thing is our rear sonar and rear emergency braking. So with this, I have rear sonar, and whatever is behind me, once it gets within the green hash marks here, it's going to start to slowly beep at me inside the vehicle, and we're going to demonstrate this in just a second here. The closer it gets down to the red, the faster the beeping will go, and once I get near the red, it's going to be almost a steady tone, and if I'm still moving, it is going to fully apply the brakes for me. It's going to sound miserable, but it also means I did not make contact with whatever's back there. So let's give it a look so that you can see. I'm just going to slowly head back here so that we can see. And there it is. Like I said, doesn't sound great, but it did engage the emergency braking before I made contact with anything back there, therefore avoiding any kind of issues. The other thing to keep in mind with that is it's great if somebody just walks out behind you while you're backing up, it will automatically hit the brakes if need be. So if you're in a parking lot for somewhere like Costco, Walmart, or any other big box store where there's a lot of foot traffic and your head's on a swivel, maybe you didn't see somebody who just walked out, this is going to make sure that you're well looked after. Now there is one other thing I do want to point out. I'm going to cover our light sensor up here to force our headlights on. You do have LED lights the whole way around the vehicle, so the visibility is fantastic. But down here I see a little green bullet with an A. That means I have high beam assist, which is automatic high beams. So again, this camera that's up in here is used for quite a bit. It's used for your pedestrian detection. It's used for your lane departure warning. It's also used for your high beam assist. That camera is looking for headlights and taillights ahead of you. So at nighttime, you're driving along, there's nothing ahead of you. Your high beam assist is on, your high beams automatically come on, which will force the little blue light, like so, to come on. As soon as a car comes around the turn towards you, or passes by you, or comes down a ramp in front of you, therefore headlights or taillights ahead of you, then the high beams will go right back out automatically without you having to touch anything. Once there's nothing ahead of you again, they'll come right back on. You know, I keep forcing it to do that by pressing this in, but that's how that will work. With that said, if I manually turn on my high beams, I notice my green bullet disappeared. I just turned off my high beam assist. So when I turn off my high beams, it's still off. To re-engage this, I can see the same icon here. I'm simply going to push this button on the end of the turn signal indicator, and that comes back on. That's one of two ways that your high beam assist will turn off on you. The other way is if you accidentally hit the button. It turns it off. All you got to do is turn it back on if you notice your lights are on, but the high beam assist is not. And your lights are fully automatic. They're set to auto. That's the only way that your high beam assist will work. Right now, I've forced them to come on because I covered the light sensor. The sensor up there dictates when your lights come on based on how dark out it is, because we'll see, just went back out because it's too bright out right now. That is all of your safety features. All of those safety features will give you visuals and audios to go with them. You're going to be more concerned with what's going on around you than you are watching the screen. If I scroll down again, we're back to our adaptive cruise. Our settings. This is the last spot that I want to go over up here. You just press the OK dial to get into it. Now, the very first thing I do with any brand new vehicle is I come in and I make sure that everything is turned on. So I can see my steering assist is on. That's your Pro Pilot. My lane, I want to make sure the lane departure warning and intervention are on. Now, the intervention, if you start to drift out of your lane, you get that lane departure warning where it vibrates the wheel. The lane departure intervention says that if you're not correcting it and pulling it back over, it will help pull you back into your lane. You can turn either one of those on or off simply by pressing the OK dial on whichever one you're currently on. I want to make sure that my blind spot warning and intervention are both turned on. And again, if you don't want them on, you can come in here and turn them off. The emergency assist is my forward emergency braking and my rear emergency braking. Now, the one thing I do want to give you a little caveat on, if you're going to put a hitch on this, whether it's to tow anything or for a bike rack, you need to know how to turn off the rear emergency braking anytime anything is attached to that hitch or when you're backing up to it, because as you saw, it does stop me before I get back to that object behind me. You can come in through the settings and disable the rear emergency braking here, or back out on my safety screen. If I press OK here, I can simply come down to emergency assist and I can turn it on or off there. And you'll be aware, when you turn off the rear emergency braking, it will turn off, and as soon as I turn the vehicle off and then back on, this is going to be back on by default. It is a safety feature. It's something Nissan thinks that is pretty important, so it does come back on by default. So that's pretty easy to do. Two ways to do it. Keep in mind that if you need to attach something to the back, you're going to want to be able to do that. That's all I touch in here. From there, I'm going to come down to vehicle settings, and I want to go into locking, because by default, your vehicle will automatically unlock every time you turn the vehicle off. I like to switch it up so that when you shift into park, it will unlock the vehicle. It is the preferred method for most people, so I tend to set it there. So we're going to back out again, and I want to come down and make sure that both of these are turned on for my wipers. That means that my front wipers, when they're on intermittent, if I set my speed down here, that'll determine how long a pause it is between wipes on the windshield when they're set for intermittent. When I'm driving residentially, that'll be at 1 speed, but when I loop out onto the highway and go faster, they are speed dependent, so that time delay will shorten a little bit all on its own without touching anything, as long as speed dependent is turned on. Reverse link just means that if my front wipers are on, even if they're only on intermittent, as soon as I put it into reverse, so I'm going to put them on intermittent and I'm going to put it in reverse, and if we watch up here in the mirror, we see it makes a pass on there. Even though my rear wiper is not turned on, reverse link means if my front wiper's on, it will make a pass on the back window to clear it off so that I can see. We're going to come back at it here and we're going to scroll down. Maintenance. Your oil control system is set for 12,000 kilometers by default. That's your oil changes. Now this is not going to make it to 12,000 kilometers unless you live in absolutely perfect conditions. Now here in Nova Scotia, we live in what are deemed to be extreme conditions. So if I do a lot of short drives in plus 20 degrees Celsius or a lot of short drives in minus 10 degrees Celsius or below, this is going to actually come down faster than the 12,000 kilometers because it is harder on my oil, and you should get it changed a little bit sooner just to maintain the viscosity of the oil. So when your vehicle tells you, or once a year is when you're going to do your oil changes, your regular maintenance schedule is every 8,000 kilometers or every 6 months. And that's all laid out in section 9 of your owner's manual as to what should be done every 8,000 kilometers or every 6 months. So I tend to set this one for 8,000 kilometers, which is a true count. You can see there's already 57 kilometers logged against it. Once it gets up to 8,000, it will pop up and tell me that I need to do maintenance. The last thing that I change is my main menu in here. And I turn this middle one off because it is just a blank screen. I don't see a point to having it on, so I typically just turn it off. Don't be afraid to play with your settings. You can't mess anything up beyond repair. There is a factory reset at the very bottom. That is all of our settings. A couple final things to go over here. You do have a beautiful panoramic moonroof here. It's got 2 buttons for it. We also see an SOS button. That SOS button is going to be connected to your Nissan Connect services, which you do get the full-blown version of the app free for 6 months. You get the basic version of it free for 5 years. If you do want the full-blown version of it, it is going to be prorated because you do have the basic version. So instead of $20 or $30 a month for the full-blown version, it's only going to be $10 or $11 a month if you want to maintain the whole thing. And again, I do have a full-blown tutorial on that on the YouTube channel. Please don't hit this SOS button unless there is an absolute emergency, because it is going to connect you to emergency services. Now the screen for my panoramic moonroof is going to be controlled with this button here, and if I push it, it's going to come over to this stanchion here, and then it's going to stop. To get it the rest of the way, I do need to push the button again. I can stop this anywhere along the way simply by pushing that button, and again, when I want to open it, it's only going to go there, and then push it again for the rest of the way. To open this piece here, I only need the screen open to this point, and if I push straight up on that button, I see it tilts, so it will vent for me up there. I can see outside. I'm going to push forward to close it. I'm going to push back to open it, where it will drop down and open up. And again, I can stop it anywhere along the way. Pushing forward will close that. And I'm going to open my shade the rest of the way as well. But if I do that before the moonroof is closed, it stops it. So I'll let that close and then hit the screen button to do that. Now I mentioned the USB ports up here in the SV and higher. On the back of the center console, there are a couple USB ports for your passengers in the back, which is awesome. Gives them something to be able to do as well. My key fob looks just like this. It's a brand new key fob this year. A little more rugged, slightly larger. Really nice feel to it. Good solid design. It's also got the new Nissan logo up top. The easiest way to know if your key fob battery is fine is just press the button here, and you can see a quick little flash right there. Now on my key fob, I have my panic button, unlock, lock, and a remote start button, which you can do either from the Nissan Connect Services app or from the key fob. The app does require a subscription. Your key fob does not. This will always work as long as the battery in your key fob is good. The range on this is 200 feet. The range on your app is anywhere. To work your remote start, you need to press the lock button twice and then press and hold the top button once. So you're going to go lock, lock. Press and hold for 5 full seconds. It will remote start your vehicle from up to 200 feet away. From there, it's going to run for up to 10 minutes. If you don't get in within 10 minutes, it will turn back off. If you're running late, maybe it's been 8 or 9 minutes, you know that you're not getting out in the next minute or two, just do lock, lock, press and hold for 5 seconds again, and it will add an additional 10 minutes to the count from wherever you are in the count. So if you do it right away, you're only going to get a grand total of 11 minutes. But if you wait till that 8 or 9 minute mark, then you'll get 18 or 19 minutes in total on your remote start time. You can remote start twice without ever getting in, or once with one extension without ever getting in. But after that, you do need to get in, start your vehicle, and drive to get up to 30 kilometers an hour or higher to reset the system to allow you to reuse the remote start again. If you have remote started and you'd like to turn it back off because you decided you're not going anywhere, rather than waiting for 10 minutes, simply press and hold the top button for 2 seconds and it will turn right back off. Now, because it is a key fob, there is a battery inside of this. Your very first indication that your battery is starting to get low, you'll put your foot on the brake, you'll press your start button, and up here it will pop up and say incorrect key ID. Don't worry, you have your key with you. It just means your key fob battery is starting to get low. If you go a long time with that continuously popping up because you got busy and didn't get a chance to switch it and the battery dies, there's a switch on the back that will open up for a key that comes out to unlock the driver's side door. There is no key for the ignition, so once you get into the vehicle, just pop your key back in place. With your foot on the brake, use your key to push your start button in to start your vehicle. It will still start even if this battery is dead. That's the fail-safe system so that you're not stuck anywhere. But at that time, it is time to change your battery. I would hope that you change it up before you hit that point, but even if not, like I said, it's time to change it. Your battery inside is a button battery. It's a CR2032. What you're going to want to do is take your spare key out. Then you're going to want to get a flathead to put into one of these 2 little spots here and give it a twist. This will pop open. Take out the existing battery, put the new one in the exact same way, clip this back together, put your key back inside here, and that's it. You're good to go. Nothing needs to be reprogrammed, nothing special needs to be done. You're all set to go. Please don't buy the dollar store batteries. They don't tend to last very long. They're usually only good for about 2 or 3 months. They are cheap to get. I do recommend spending the money to get a decent battery. It's going to cost you about $7 or $8, or you could take it to the dealership down to your parts department, and for an extra $1 or $2, they'll do it all for you and check to make sure that the issue is not with your key fob. You will go through the battery a little bit faster if your key fob is close to your vehicle inside the house. So for example, I've parked my car in the driveway and my key fob is within 15-20 feet inside the house. That means that there is constant communication going on between the key and the fob, and it will chew through the battery a bit faster. We recommend putting your key fob about 30 to 40 feet away from wherever your vehicle is, just to make sure that that doesn't happen. Now, I'm going to turn this back off for a moment because I want to get out to show you the intelligent key system. And I'm going to lock this to start. On all of my handles, all 4 handles, plus there is a button on the hatch there that I'll show you in a minute. As long as I have my key fob on me, all I got to do is walk up and push this once, and I see a single flash here. I heard a single beep. This door is unlocked. The rest of this is still locked. A second push is another single beep. Unlocks the entire vehicle at this point. And you can do them each one individually as well. Once all your doors are shut, once you get out, 1 push, 2 flashes, 2 beeps, the whole thing is now locked again. Makes it really easy. Now, on the trunk, on the hatch here, we're going to unlock this. The button to open my hatch is right here. It's this rectangular button. But I can also see a round button here, and that does the exact same thing as the buttons in the front there. That will unlock or lock your vehicle for you. The last thing here is if I have left my key inside the vehicle and I come out and hit the button, I got a whole lot of beeping going on. It did not lock my door. Even if I hit the lock here and close it, again, lots of beeping, and it automatically unlocked my door. This is to make sure that I don't lock my key fob inside. There are two scenarios where it is possible to lock it inside. If that battery is really low in your key fob, yes, hitting that button will lock it inside. Or if you have the other key on you and you get out and this one's inside and you hit the button, it will lock this key inside. So just be aware of those two things. That's about the only two ways to lock it inside. Congratulations again on your 2023 Nissan Rogue SV. It's a great vehicle. I hope the feature review helped remind you of everything that you got with your vehicle. If you still have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. As I mentioned, you can call, text, email, or stop into O'Regan's Nissan at 60 Baker Drive in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. We'd love to help you with anything that you need to know about your vehicle. Also, love to see any time that you're in for your regular maintenance. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you enjoy your new vehicle, and we'll see you when it's time for the next one.